We are live on Facebook.
Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to a chat that we're all discussing at the moment about this COVID confusion. Today, I'm joined with Nikki, Kerry, Sadia, and obviously Trouble, Andy. Yeah, we were just discussing about these new regulations that Boris seems to be putting into place at the moment. No more than 6 in your house or meeting with 6 people outside. But it's okay for the kids to go to school, and it's okay for kids to go to college, and you can still meet in a pub. There you go. So
10 o'clock.
Yeah, till 10 o'clock. But I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously COVID doesn't come out after 10 o'clock, and no, it must be in bed after 10, and
yeah, easy peasy, isn't it?
You know, and it doesn't go to school, obviously, you know, so it must be a little rebel.
It's like the Gremlins, isn't it?
Yeah.
3 o'clock.
Yeah, don't feed them and don't get them wet.
Yeah, don't come out during daylight. Oh dear.
Go ahead, Kerry.
I think Sadia wanted to say something about, you know, what they're not really considering the big scale of mental health here. Okay, so go ahead, Sadia, what you were saying earlier, what you want to repeat. Go ahead.
Right. They haven't mentioned nothing about mental health. Yeah. People have isolation, which don't have no visitors at all because of COVID.
Yeah.
Because they're just stuck indoors and not have nothing. And it's not right. It is really not right. And at the same time, the mental health thing is not being dealt with. And it's upsetting.
So how can they deal with the mental health if we're all on the same restrictions?
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're all on the restrictions, then the liability is going to be down to, if the charities have got those restrictions in place where they're giving these services, etc., then the face-to-face appointments, they're going to be managed somewhere along the line, and that's where they've gone on to, if you can work from home. So working from home means, hey guys, you need any mental health support? So when you provide that at the end, if no one show up, then they can't complain that there isn't a second option to get in recovery. So looking after your mental health is important, right? We understand that. There are other ways to get your therapy, but I understand that the loneliness and the visitors is where you're going. And when it first came out, as far as the visitors, we were told that we couldn't see our loved ones. I think a lot of us rebelled against that because we had these children, and we're going to rebel against it. And again, I feel that it comes down to, for me, I think what was missing out of all of these, when people said make a decision between your family, your loved ones over this COVID that you couldn't see, it was a bit hard to believe, wasn't it? So here we are 7 months later, they're talking about the same thing again, but you walk down the street and everybody hasn't got their mask on, and particularly the elderly people, okay, that their immune system is already crappy, so susceptible to you know, more viruses, but they don't have any mask on. As I said earlier, I walked into Costa Coffee and no one has a mask on. Okay, so what if they've got a screen, a plastic screen? That plastic screen does not go all the way around, right? But what they're above, saying is, don't spit your saliva on someone when you're talking. That's pretty much what they're kind of sort of saying, right? Hence why they're masks. But down to the mental health scale of it, I understand that, you know, it's a whirlwind for people, and it's scary. I mean, people are turning on you if you do wear a mask, and they're turning on you if you don't wear a mask. And for me, at the end of the day, we've been wearing a mask for many, many years with mental health, and now it comes to the point where who's going to be the strongest here? Ones that already had mental health who actually know what it's like to survive, or the ones that hasn't experienced anything, who then start to experience fear, panic, anxiety.
Mm.
Now, that
Yeah.
makes them all equal now, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
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 I can talk for England, but it doesn't make sense when you're sending the kids to school. Yeah, we can't keep an eye on them. Yeah, it
No.
doesn't make any sense when you walk into a shop and some people are exempt from wearing masks and some people in. And as I rightly said to somebody who wanted to cuff me off because I had a mask on, but I didn't have it up here. I had it here, yeah, but not up here. And because I had a mask, would have cussed me off for having a mask. Could I put my mask back up? And he didn't have one on, and he said I'm exempt. Why? What? Give me the reasons now why you're exempt. Now I've got to go into your personal life to not have that argument with you about your exemption. So if you tell me I've got mental health, then I have too. Get off my back. Where are the exempt certificates?
Yeah.
Where is the label that says you're exempt, you're exempt? There is no proof. So therefore you've got this vicious, malicious thought process going on when you see somebody that hasn't got a mask on and you've got one on. You get jealous, envious, and actually angry at it. Some people are getting really, really angry, enough to cause fights. You know, I just, it's hard to believe, isn't it? This 20.
Yeah.
My thing with because there are some people that that wear the sunflower lanyards with the exemption card on it, which is fine if you've got a particular reason why, and you can buy these. But obviously, everyone's jumping on the bandwagon, and if you look on, eBay or whatever, you can buy these, that look very similar, and it's you can buy these exemption cards and wear it.
Really?
But you don't have to put in any medical reason as to why. You just go and buy one, and that's what I find is very strange.
So there's no proof. We're just supposed to be honest, yeah. So there's no proof in nothing. What if we all went and got an exempt? How would that work?
Now, the things that I don't get is, I mean,
what is that, Andy?
Sorry.
Hidden Disabilities.
Where did you get that from?
The Hidden Disabilities website.
What, and they send it to you free of charge?
No, it's about £2.
And what, do you have to put in all your stuff?
No.
Well, that's defeating the purpose, isn't it?
Just your postage address.
Isn't that just defeating the purpose?
So anyone can get X amount. What?
Yeah, I could go and buy one if I wanted to. If I didn't want to wear a mask, I'd just go and buy one of those. But having said that, I've spoken to people that wear these, and Shell gets this as well, that you still get the filthy looks because you're not wearing a mask even when you've got one of those.
Okay, so I've got it in my head that this is just a money making scheme. Because they're not, when they used to say we'll give out free sanitary towels, And I'm actually going to say free sanitary towels because it was a need and a monthly thing. So at the end of the day, why aren't they giving us free masks? And those people on benefits, why aren't they getting free masks or any kind of help with the mask? And those masks should be changed every hour, full stop. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I just, it doesn't make no sense. The way that the government have done this is just poor. Very poor.
And why would you have to pay for the card anyways? Shouldn't that be like a government thing? So anyone who is exempt should be provided these cards.
But that should be linked to your, if you get PIP or something like that, that should be linked to it. So it's like, this is obviously somebody who has a
disability
or mental reason that they can't wear a mask. But they're saying that it's not just like physical reasons. It's like people, with mental health conditions, with ADHD, with autism and things like that, that they struggle with having something on their face.
Like a passport, so you can just get a doctor's signature or a counsellor's, so someone to verify that, and so it states that they're in treatment, or I have seen as evidence of this. So you can have a card.
I didn't even know anything about it until I went after, because you guys know that I've just had pneumonia.
Yeah.
And I didn't know until I went back to the doctors for a checkup, and she said, "Well, there's no way on this earth that you can wear a mask at the moment." And then she obviously told us about this.
Yeah, because she has one, and I saw her in the local shop, not the other day, wearing her lanyard. So
Can you just tell us what that is again, please?
Yeah.
It's hidden disabilities.
Yeah.
Can
I'll
you,
get the website up. I
can you
think
guys see that?
just tilt it
Yeah.
so. Just tilt
Yeah,
it.
yeah, you can see it.
Yeah.
All right.
Out of the light.
And there's no picture of it, of you
No.
or nothing, so anyone could have that. So
No.
now what my point,
Ah.
so my point to this is, if we all go and get a card, then none of us will be walking around with a mask. And then it defeats the object once again,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because like I
Exactly.
said, you can't see this, you don't know who's got it. All this test ain't
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
I know if I was in power, I'd be like, yeah, lockdown. You'll be locked down. I'll be testing all of you here. You ain't going out of here until you're clean. But that's what they're trying to do. And I just think
Yeah.
it's just not working. It's just not working at all, because people are shifting there. That, you know, we're like this in the night, locking down the
Yeah.
club after 10 o'clock. You're absolutely right. What you turned around and said, what? So you can't get it during them other hours that they're working and operating. It makes no
Exactly.
sense. What they're doing is destroying the economy. They're destroying lives. And they certainly, and you're right, not taking notice of the mental health. Go ahead, Sadia.
It's like they want us to be divided.
Yeah.
Right? They're just dividing everyone.
Yeah.
Right? Even the old people that have children that can't see their grandchildren,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and some of them most probably have mental health as well as other issues. And it's just terrible. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
Mm.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Because at the same time,
Yeah.
nothing about mental health was done by Boris Johnson last night. Nothing.
No, he didn't do anything about the mental health
Nothing.
side of it. And I think if he reassured people that, I mean, we already know mental health, we promote. Support your community, support. But what this is doing is telling us, support yourself and don't worry about the community. That's what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think more than ever, we have to come together one way or another and make our own government. Keep following their rules. It doesn't get us anywhere. And I'm not. I don't really care what anyone says about me or think about me. Do you understand? I never asked these people to be my leader so they can go mix rat laboratory experiments on people for their own gain. And it is for their own gain because it's cleansing, population control. I never asked for that. I never asked for a leader. So all of these people that wanted to vote, and I want to talk about Brexit, they voted for Brexit. And that caused a divide under religion, race, and all of those things. Deliberate. Then we had this George thing. That again is a deliberate ploy for me. Yeah. To you know you're going to uproar the community if you do something drastic. So if you use the community to defend rights against any kind of illness, then what's going to happen is the community was showing you that they weren't listening to the government. That's why the government done that little first step. They did the little first step as an experiment to see how people would react to it. And the world went for me, turning on each other. Yeah, causing a divide and turning on each other. Well, if they stop focusing on them and focusing on how to be kind, how to help somebody else and keep yourself clean and sterile at the same time, we'd go a lot further. But none of it makes sense. It's conflicting, it's confusing. They've vaccinated in Africa, but then they say there's no vaccinations. So what is there? Is there a vaccination or is there no vaccinations? If there is, why are you guinea pigging the black people all the time? That's the things that pisses me off. Okay? Because if the need is here and you're in UK should be taking care of UK. But it isn't. America takes care of America. That's why you've got the arguments with Trump and whatever else, isn't it? They take care of that and all the medical treatments and stuff like that. But here, no, here we're supposed to be united to help one another up. And that's
United Kingdom.
They're worried about everybody else but their own back gardens because they're in bed with each other for their own financial gain. That's
Well,
what I see.
knocked
Second
it
of
on
all,
the
you know
head.
what's happening? All those people that had these buildings and shops and stuff like that, millionaires, they're losing money badly, losing money. And so therefore, you know, we're all losing here, but it's affecting every one of us. And the strength has got to come from within, isn't it? Because the worst part for me is when they turn around and says, you can't see your family, you can't have your family over. Then they turn around and said you couldn't have sex with somebody else, and this, that, and the other. The government come like a pimp now. That's what the government is coming. It's coming like a pimp. You can have sex, you can't have sex. Now I heard the other day that you can't kiss your partner. So therefore, I'm thinking, now you really are coming like a pimp, and I don't like that. And I know I'm crude with my mouth, but when we don't watch the news, we don't know what's going on. But everyone's talking about something, but I don't think our minds are made up really as to who's telling the truth here, because we hear, yeah, got confirmed cases. All we see is figures and numbers. We know figures and numbers. If that was a bank balance, we'd be like this. That's what we'd be doing. But you know, at the end of the day, they are claiming as well on everybody's death. Simple. They're still claiming on people's death. Did you know you couldn't even register a newborn baby for weeks? Actually, at least a good couple of months. You couldn't even do that.
Yeah. Offices closed, weren't they?
Yeah, but again, yeah, it is. It's just gone into a digital platform, and that's where they can monitor you even more.
Yeah, Big Brother.
Of course, it's Big Brother, it's Big Brother everywhere. But you know what's going to happen to the younger generation? That's you know, we watch those films that are provided by them in the first place on Netflix because they own them, don't they? So they're going to put what they want. And I think we watch those films. In reality, some of the stuff that is there is so damaging to our futures. And I say future, you still got to live in the here and now, right here and now. And as the weather turns, yeah, we all know we get colds in the winter. I hope they give us some heating allowance, you know, because if you're saying that heat keeps away bacteria, then at the end of the day, we've got to do what we can do to keep warm and keep safe. That's all we can. That's enough of me talking now. Over to you, because I could just let rip into that. Go ahead, Sadia.
I thought heat breeds germs.
Well, both. That's cooking, in it. Come on, but we're saying in the cold, you got more stuff. But you think if they say if they said the cold weather is that's affecting, how come it's in Africa where it's hot?
Yeah, it's because they so I don't know if that's true or not. So like, so my daughter, so like she's 11, so like she reckon they haven't got it in Antarctica, so because they're so cold. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but
I don't know. There's too many rumours. Go ahead, Sadia. We was talking about the climate, the heat, and
spreading germs.
Go ahead.
Like say, like last year, when nothing came up or anything like that, we was just going about our business as usual, not even washing our hands, yeah, not even like cleaning with the bleach or any, making things fine, and then it's like a bomb has hit it for COVID, and it's an explosion.
What have you heard about the aliens coming? Have you heard that one?
Yeah.
No.
What?
Yeah, apparently all of this is a ploy to get the government, because the government knows what's coming. So all of this, I have heard those things. Go ahead, Andy, please do speak.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of bits. I mean, I think over the last few years, there's been a lot of division, especially in this country. So, you know, it started off with Brexit and things like that, and that's kind of like snowballed. I mean, you know, coming up to obviously what happened in America, it's like, well, how many times does that actually happen over there? And it doesn't get reported.
Too many.
It doesn't go global. And so, You know, was that a case of like, well, we've now got COVID, people are starting to kind of like go, oh, you know, this is against my human rights and things like that. So let's kind of get something really going. Let's kind of really divide everybody and start to kind of go, well, let's get, you know, people are sort of saying, well, I believe this in COVID, so I'm going to wear my mask and I'm going to do what I'm told. And there's the people that don't. And let's split them up. And it's like, it starts becoming, you know, a racial issue as well. And it's like, well, let's kind of subdivide them even more and have them all in fighting. And it just went mad.
That's it.
You know, and then I did see a report a couple of 3 days ago, and it was a mainstream sort of media outlet, and one of the ones that you would say was a reputable mainstream outlet.
One name and shame them.
I can't remember what it was, but it might have been, but it might have been an American one. But I think what it was, and they were saying that they have got physical evidence of American fighters chasing UFOs. And they were publishing it, and they were saying this is what's happening. And it's like, well, okay, the tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theories, which I would put my hand up as being one of them, have been going on about, you know, well, actually, you know, is there, you know, evidence of this already? And there has been, and been covered up and things like that, and experiments and all different things. It's like, well, why now are we kind of saying, right, 2020 is the year that we dropped the bombshell that aliens have been living amongst us for, like, you know, generations or something silly like that? And it's just one of those things. And you think, well, hang on a minute, what's next?
That's because the lizards are amongst us. Yes. They're the ones in higher power. Yeah. And they're the ones joining forces with all of this conspiracy theory and all of these things. No one knows what anything is unless they're up against it or seen it. And then again, that's seeing to believe. Second of all, is there something else? Well, we cannot be the only species here to start. No. I do believe that there is another
race.
Now, hold on a minute. Where did we learn about aliens? Excuse me. Where did we learn about aliens? Netflix?
Because this is how it all goes. Everything gets subdivided, and all of a sudden, it's like saying, right, okay, you've got to wear a mask. You've got to stay in groups of like X number of people. You can't go to where you want to go. And it's like, this is crowd control. This is population control. And it's saying, right, okay, now when you get a virus comes through, and I'm not saying that there is a virus. I'm not saying that there isn't a virus, but people are dying. Now, this could be, so, well, let's use something as an excuse for these people dying to make people panic and sort of like, how can we control them? It all seems to be very contrived and very much like an experiment on how we can control people to stay in their homes, to not go out, I mean, when lockdown first started, yes, there was a few sort of dissenting voices, but pretty much everybody went, okay, I won't go out. And everyone stayed at home. So fine, we've got a bit of a holiday. I don't have to go to work, you know. Oh, I can sit on my laptop and I can kind of do a little bit of work from home or whatever. Yeah. But then you get to that point where people, especially those who are suffering with mental health, start getting anxious, agitated. Their life has changed.
And talking about aliens live, just saying.
That's fine.
Okay.
But, you know, that's the thing. It seems to be a way of controlling or seeing how they can control people. And then the statement last night sort of saying, well, if need be, the military are available to,
I heard that.
You know, to support the police. And it's like, okay, so if you're supporting the police, so this then allows the police to get on with regular everyday policing, like, you know, solving crimes or, you know, investigating burglaries or whatnot. And then it allows the military to be standing on your street corner with, you know, a gun over their shoulder and stuff like that. And you think, well, hang on a minute, what sort of like George Orwellian nightmare are we going into? You know, and this seems to be, it's like you sort of look at, especially say in the last sort of 10, 15 years, the films that have been on. So Hollywood has kind of started to program us. This is normality. This is what happens. This is what we're in. And it's like, well, actually, you know, are we in this position? You know, a couple of weeks ago, we had the anniversary of 9/11. And that's like, well, actually, that's still up in the air. You don't really think it was, actually, was it sort of like, you know, a bunch of terrorists with box cutters kind of crashing planes? Or was it something different? Those buildings didn't collapse on their own. And those buildings didn't collapse by, you know, aircraft hitting them. They were designed to, it was a Boeing 707 to hit the building and it wouldn't collapse. But yet those buildings collapsed, plus what they call Building 7 collapsed in the evening, and that wasn't even reported. Although there was a segment on a BBC report where they're saying that the building has collapsed, but in the background, the building is still standing. And it kind of got cut. So there's a lot of evidence going on. So I think it's kind of like a very contrived way of how can we control the population? Let's give them something to worry about. And when people stopped worrying about COVID, then it's like, well, let's start them kind of worrying about racial matters. Let's kind of get them divided that way. And I'm not saying that's kind of died down, but it seems to be, there was like a month or 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks where, you know, every time you turn the television on, there was some kind of like Black Lives Matter demonstration, or this was happening or that was happening. And it seems to have kind of like disappeared again. And now it's like, okay, well, they're not worrying about that anymore. So let's have a second spike. Yeah. Let's try that. Let's confuse people even more. So you can't go out in more than 6 people unless you're wearing tweed and carrying a shotgun and shooting birds. You know? Yeah. So that's the sort of thing. It's like, well, actually, hang on a minute. That kind of contravenes what you're saying. Well, are we having groups of 6 people in schools? No, we're not. They're having their little bubble, and that's what they're doing. So where does that work? What they're not also saying, they're saying 6 people in a group. Does that include your children? Because under 11s don't have to wear a mask.
Exactly.
It is contradictory again.
So it's like, sort of say a mother with 2 children under 11, does that count as 1 person or does that count as 3?
Exactly. That's where the confusion come in.
Can I make a point here? When you talk about the children under 11s that have to wear a mask, right? This is my point. Children are not the cleanliest of all, right? Okay, so if children don't have to wear masks and one of them does have this mysterious COVID, then all these children that may contract this mysterious COVID with no masks continue to spread it then, right? So it's either one rule for all or none at all. And I believe at the end of the day that you couldn't catch pneumonia. You couldn't catch that. It's something you develop with yourself because your immune system is down. So at the end of the day, if they're saying COVID is similar, it's not spread. You can't catch pneumonia off somebody else if you spit at them, right? So why is it that you can catch COVID in the same breath? Just because you're talking. And if it is that case, because you're talking, then what you're doing is you're making this exempt, and the exempt ones could be the carriers. They already did a show about that. The ones that they've tested, you know, the ones that haven't tested, they'll be the ones walking around with it, and the ones that haven't tested. The thing is, nothing's consistent, and it wasn't done at the same time. It's all over the place, and they're so cocksure about something they don't understand when it's going to start, when it's going to die down. Those are the 2 things they're done. Oh, springtime will be back to normal. Why? Is that so you can accumulate some more money for your bigger back? You know, because at the end of the day, what I believe is they're taking, this is my point, the small businesses, the big businesses that are suffering, I believe that a lot of people have gone more independent. They don't like that. So let's just try and, you know, everybody's off doing their own thing now. How can we control what's going on? And all they're doing is chucking money left, right, and centre. But the money that they're chucking at people for the grants and the loans or whatever that they want to give, that's the money that they're finding people with, isn't it? So what they're doing is, well, I mean, honestly, who fine up to £10,000, fine up to £1,000? Well, hang on, you've just took my job. Where am I going to get that from? right?
Yeah.
If you take someone's job and their livelihood, their attitude, just the same as anybody that feels suicidal, is like, I've got nothing left to lose anymore. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've got nothing left to lose anymore, and I'm going to live out my job, my last days, the way it is. If I don't know how long we're going to go, I'm going to live it out the way. People will cop that attitude. They'll get fed up with it. Okay, so I think when you're taking people's livelihoods and you're threatening with fines, I think you're asking them then to stay in. How can they stay in if they need that money? Or does the government have a plan to put everybody on benefits because they're sick?
And then bankrupt again.
I just don't get this stuff. I think at the end of the day, I heard that they're going to fine someone £10,000, then £1,000, and then they were going to give £500 to those that have got that vulnerable to stay in. So it's a blackmailing thing. We'll give you £500 if you stay in. Cool, give it to me. How long for?
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, is that a week, a month?
Yeah. We're going online now, wouldn't we? So it ain't going to make no difference, is it? Go ahead, Sonia.
I received a missed call, so I just called them back, and it was somebody that to do with my washing machine, the valve thing. Apparently, the person has got COVID symptoms. He can't come, but it's rearranged for the 1st of October in the afternoon, and I'm gonna get £20 for inconvenience.
That's good.
Into my rent account.
So
excellent. Missed appointment, yeah.
Yeah, but the same guy that's rearranged, is that him coming back? The one that's got symptoms of COVID? Would that be him coming back?
No, because at the end of the day, he has to suffer with what's it called?
Isolate.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, it's nice that they let you know.
Yeah.
When you have got people coming into your house, to do work. I mean, I had the fire alarms and stuff come into my house to do work, but none of them had a mask on. I mean, the worst thing is for me when people come into my house, I say to them, take your shoes off. They're not used to that. So learnt behaviour. So
I do that when I have work coming in too. Yeah.
I think fear is something when you're dealing with, I think that's where we got the advantage, is because we've been living on the edge when we had suffered from mental health and going through all the things. We have the advantage, really, because we learned how to cope through struggle and stress and the most horrific crimes that any other human can ever go through, and that has no comparison to COVID, is what I'm saying. So I think when you can get through those things, this mysterious label that most animals have as well, and then they've got it in Dettol as well, and all of those things, this mysterious label doesn't affect me. And I'll tell you why it don't. I live my life for today because I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring me, and I live that. Happiness is something only you can do within yourself. And I believe that the stronger minded you are, even if you think you're weak, trust me, those people with mental health, they're not weak, they're very strong. All right, may feel vulnerable at times and cry every now and again, but very strong to have fought the battles that they have. But if anything's taught me is that come together with your friends, support each other, and you can get through anything. Yeah, you're not going to feel so alone. So when first COVID come out, it affected me. I sat on the settee right here and I laid down and I put myself into the isolation mode, and I got really angry, and I documented it. I got really, really angry, and I went, up yours, government, literally up yours. And I got up and I walked to the shop. I got up and I walked to the shop and I documented it. The state of mind, because somebody says something, when you listen to gossip, it can chuck you right back down in that pit. So know your facts, but know what your abilities are, even in times of crises, what the ability you can do. Now, we could have gone out, we could have exercised, we could have gone for a walk. And I realised you could still do all that, it quite wasn't as serious what they thought it was then. Because you were still able to go out, you were still able to shop. The only thing that they shut down was the nightclubs. That's it. So we started partying in our house, you know? And I think that's why they've gone to a limited number of 6, because they, you know, you're going to shut down the pubs at 10 o'clock now, and no more nightclubs again. So if we just limit you to 6, you can't run havoc in your homes.
Or can you?
Yeah. I don't even know how they're going to monitor it. And then they turn around and says, the government says, please, before you snitch on your neighbours,
That's it, yeah.
Your neighbours, yes, turn it up. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, I think you raised a valid point about, I think people who have had long-term mental health issues probably didn't notice the difference because they kind of have self-isolated for years.
Anyway,
and it's like, well, you know, I'm just now being told to self-isolate. My head's telling me to self-isolate because I can't do it.
Yeah.
Now, and I think earlier you sort of said about, yeah, the people that have had long-term mental health conditions have been relatively fine. Yes, there's going to be some additional sort of like, you know, things that I have to consider. But the people that have been suffering without knowing that they're suffering and suddenly finding themselves in a position where they're locked down and they can't do anything, and all they've got to do is like live with what's in their head, then that's when you start getting, well, suddenly there's more people with mental health issues because of lockdown. And I think the ones that have lived with it for a long period of time, yes, there would have been times when, oh no, there's this going on, and there would be triggers there. But most of the time, living with someone who suffers with mental health, I didn't really see a great deal of change. You know, it was like, well, you do exactly what you did every day anyway.
Yeah.
You know, yes, there was times when it's like, oh, I really want to go shopping. But it was like, oh yeah, it's one of them days that you want to go out. You kind of feel, yeah, I'm ready to go out. I'm going to do it. But that was the only times that there seemed to be any restrictions on her life. And I think a lot of people with long-term mental health conditions have kind of probably been in the same boat. And if they've had the support from family or whatever, and they was able to kind of, you know, get, you know, sort of talking therapy or groups such as this that allowed them to kind of go, you know, I'm really feeling down today. And it's like, well, okay, well, let's talk it through. Let's kind of go, let's speak about it. Let's kind of like say, what can we put in place and support each other? And then it's the people that had gone about their lives not thinking that they were suffering with any form of mental health or stress or anxieties or things like that, suddenly were plunged into a position where it's like, I'm really scared. I don't know what to do. I can't go out. I can't do this. I can't do that. And suddenly their mental health would worsen. It would plummet. And that's kind of how this last sort of 6-7 months have gone. So like I said, the ones that long term probably haven't noticed a huge amount of difference and have just been supported like with groups such as this and help through. But there's these ones that these newcomers, these new, suddenly it's like they've got a mental health condition. And I think that's where we're at.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really like interesting. I mean, I've had like mental health like issues, like psychosis and like alcohol issues. But like over time, I've had to learn to change and adapt. So like the way I live and like the way I think as well. And I think that with this COVID thing, not exactly the same, but it is like changing like your mentality and adapting like your day-to-day routine or like what's it you do. I mean, like I've popped out to the shop before and like got halfway there. Oh crap! Like I forgot my mask. So come all the way back. So like little things like that, but like now it's becoming habit. So like not so much that like I'm doing it because I can't go out without that mask. It's like pick my keys up, pick my phone up. So like here's my mask. And that's part of my routines now.
I think that's an important part because I did that the other day. I went out and I forgot my mask. And I thought I am not going back to go and get something that feels like my knickers. Do you know what I mean? That's how clean it is. I'm
Yeah,
not
a pair of
saying
knickers
that.
on your face.
I mean, people were using their bra and then they were making mouths out of their bra
Yes.
and pants and everything else. How is that helpful? It isn't. So I went, I'm not going back to get my mask. There you go. There's my mask. There you go. Same thing. They said face covering. They didn't say
Covering. Yeah.
what it had to be. They said face covering. Nick, you got to go.
Hi. So like, thank you. So like, for letting me. So like, just say that little bit. But so like, I've got to go. So like, pick girls up from school. So thank you. And so like, enjoyed the chat. Take care.
And you're on
And so catch
Facebook.
up with you soon.
That's the first time you've been on Facebook.
I know, isn't it? How you
Thank you
doing?
very much for giving back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, take care.
Bye,
Bye.
Nikki.
Bye,
Nikki.
Bye.
Yeah, me too. I've got to slide off and go and pick my daughter up. So
Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
I-
it's
yeah.
piddling down, isn't it?
see you all really soon.
Take umbrellas, you guys,
Oh.
and armbands.
Yes.
Armbands. I need my canoe, I think.
Right, as we're on
How do I turn this
Facebook,
off?
that's okay, babe. As you're on Facebook, you know, I just wanted to say, sorry, I actually like your t-shirt. I know it says fix the bleep bleep up. I'm admin, and your hat is matching as well. Why did you use that terminology?
It's
Hang on. How do I turn this off?
Hold on, you've done it.
it's just like usual for me.
Sorry,
It's usual for me.
does that give you strength when you're saying that? Look, come on, what you're saying is sort yourself out.
If I'm saying saying it to somebody, fix it up. Yeah, you know, I feel better, and the people that I'm telling feels better as well. So I'm happy.
You're coming all the way from where you are, you know, at the end of the day without explaining. This lady has a visual impairment. She's doing amazing. And we won't say no more other than that, that we're very mindful. And a speech impediment that's due to previous strokes and viral meningitis. Yeah, I remember those things. And I think you've gone through the mill, and 3 strokes later, you are still here. And the fact that you are still here through everything that you've gone through, homelessness, being discriminated, the whole lot that what you felt for, you are still here. So what would you want to say to anybody out there? You know, I think you're courageous. I think you're amazing to go through the fight that you've gone through, still be here and still giving back to the community. Yeah. Got anything to say?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
Can I just say that I've known Sadia a little while now, and her speech is amazing, and she is one amazing lady. You know, my little 7-year-old absolutely loves her to bits. You know, she is her Auntie Sadia, and she just adores her. You know, I mean, she adores you too, Kerry, but she's like, Auntie Sadia, where's Auntie Sadia? You know, oh, show Auntie Sadia that, send her that, I've done her a picture, you know, and it's like the infinity that they've got, you know. It's like I sent a video the other day to Sadia of like my daughter, you know, all right, we don't need you, thanks. You know, he has to get his head in everywhere, right? And I said, look, listen to her like cussing her brother off. And it's like, Sadia sent back, said, yeah, well, they are scary things, didn't they? Not the fact that like Freya was like cussing her brother off. It was like she was sticking up for like my daughter, you know. And it's like, oh, all right then, stick up for her as normal, you know. She can't do no wrong in Sadia's eyes. It's like, fine.
Well, you know, there's respect, and there's respect in there, and I think it's nice too when you're around people is to make sure that everybody's getting a piece of someone, history, legacy, and leaving a good impression. And I think Sadia, you really have left a good impression on me, for the time and the amount of energy spent, time spent. You have been one tough cookie, mate. If you want to know about this woman, right, she hit the paper. She hit the national paper.
South London Press.
Who?
South London Press.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing. And that was like, because she decided to say, no, you don't get to do this to me. You have a duty of care to me, no matter what. And you stood your ground with that. And it took, oh God, was that 2 years? Almost 2 years struggle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Almost a 2 year struggle. Watching that journey, to be honest, affected myself. Even though I'm holding your hand through this, it affected me. Her tears were my tears, because the mission is to resolve the situation, full stop. No matter anything else, the mission is to resolve the current situation that is causing mental instability. And in her case, it was it was isolation. So every time summer come round, this woman was stuck in a house, just looking out of a window while everybody else played. That was isolation. So now she's got a new property where she is now, and we're back in isolation. Go ahead.
I was even taking pictures with me sitting on my window ledge for some fresh air, because I couldn't get down the stairs.
Yeah.
And that was bad. But I enjoyed it because it was like fresh air. And now I've got my balcony.
And then she's got a balcony, so you know that's a bonus, isn't it? You can sit there and window shop. Yeah, I think you're amazing for where you've gone. You're a complete inspiration. You know, you show up for therapy still, even though your situation is resolved. Your housing situation is resolved, and only today you got confirmation that, again, you see those people at the bit that about housing benefit and things like that, to stay on top of that, otherwise you lose your home. So even though you got your new home, there was a delay in sorting out paperwork, which then would be threatening with removing you out of the new property that you got. So once again, once you're settled, you still have to clear up matters, and it's important that you guys know that your legal structure is done to the best of your ability, and not to just stay on top of things. So today you've got confirmation that everything is back in order, and now you can just carry on living your life happy now, right? Because everything is sorted out. Yeah. So I know with you, and I'm honest, I know with you that the amount of strokes that you've had has been scary, and even the fact that you had another stroke because of the stress of your housing situation, and I will blame that. I think when you had your next stroke was completely scary to listen to that, and I was scared that I was going to lose you, but you're still here through thick and thin. You're one tough cookie.
Yeah.
You still show up for therapy each week. You are one tough girl.
Yeah.
Woman.
Yeah.
Now.
All gifts to you.
No, it's not. It's teamwork. You see,
You.
I think at the end it takes one, and then it's a ripple effect. But it's definitely teamwork to get the outcome to the best possible outcome. That has to be teamwork, and that's why I say thank you. I've learned a lot from you. I learned about visually incited, your speech. I learned about fibromyalgia, which we're going to do a topic coming up about fibromyalgia. So if you have fibromyalgia and you would like to take part in a discussion, please do contact and leave a voice message. I'll just get you the number. Leave a voice message and saying that you would like to take part, and we certainly will have you on there. Now the number that I'm going to give you is 01394 386 905. You can rewind this. That's 01394 386 905 if you'd like to take part in fibromyalgia discussion, so we can educate the community about these things. I think at the end of the day, people just see people. They actually don't see the disabilities or know what someone's going through or how it affects them. Go ahead, Sonia.
all about what's it called? The illnesses that people have got that everyone thinks that they're okay. Hidden disabilities. Yeah, hidden
disabilities. Yeah, the invisible illnesses and hidden disabilities. You know, and that's what I think. I think, you know what? We give back as much as possible. We do a lot of lives, we do a lot of talks, we get a lot of education, and we've done a lot of problem solving and successful cases. And we have the MOM Project, Mind Over Matter group. It's an open group on Facebook, not the company. We talk about the open group on Facebook. And you can't tell me that almost 1,000 members don't need no help. They don't need no support. They don't need no therapy. Because I'm telling you now, when you keep putting on things and you provide things for someone and they don't show up, I just think to myself, they really can't be that sick, can they? Because they you know, or they're content with the information that keeps going out. And I think that's a good thing, that we are pushing out information of awareness and mental health awareness on real situations and real talk. And I think that's the difference between my platform and others. Sorry, I'm not going to say mine, it's our platform, and others. It's a group, it's open talk, you know, it's an open platform for anyone. So if you are watching this, it is the MOM Projects. What is it? Facebook. I'm having a bit of a moment today because I forgot what it is. Okay, it's called the MOM Project.
It's alright.
Right. The MOM Project, Suicide Prevention, Mental Health Awareness, Real Talk. It is a public group, and it is for anyone and anyone to give back awareness of maybe the hidden disabilities. Maybe you've got something to say, and maybe you can encourage somebody else. But what we do ask is a share, and that's what annoys me, that people don't want to share. And then I think to myself, reap what you sow. Karma is such a naughty word, but karma, if you can't do right by others, then when you're in a time of your crisis, in a time of your storm, then you're going to be saying, no one's there for me. Well, you need to learn to be there for other people too. And then it comes back at you. So anything else? Would you like to continue to close the show, please, Michelle?
Yeah, like I just said, she's 50 soon.
I'm going to be 50. What's the date? I'm 50 in a couple of weeks. So what? I'm saying I'm 50 already. Now what?
So that's why she's losing the plot.
Losing the plot. Yeah. No, I'm not losing the plot. You know what it is? I deal with a lot of personalities.
That's it, Sadia.
What'd she say? What'd she say?
The mental illness.
You saying I'm mental?
Yes.
Yeah.
You saying I'm mental?
Yes.
It takes one to know one.
Human.
I'm above it though.
You are human, right? You do have problems, right? You know, you're just human. So you know, because of the things that you've spoken about and lived with, it's like, you know, it's just more, just giving out more knowledge for everybody else.
Yeah, and we're not ashamed, are we? Because I think that's the thing, isn't it? People, how could you put all your business on there? I'm putting my business on there because I like to set the example and be realistic. You know, we can cry, we can be depressed, we can. I'm not going to mask it. I did that for many, many years, but I decided, you know what? I'm going to use it to my advantage, and I'm going to set up a suicide prevention company, not for profit, you know, to help other people. And I think at the end of that, had I not done that, then that'll be one less service for you, wouldn't it, love? You know? So I'm glad I did.
No, we're proud of you.
I found my inner strength.
That's why we're here.
And it doesn't mean I'm not right. I have my down days. I had a down day the other day. It took me 3 days to get out of it, but at the end of the day, I have my reasons. But just like anybody else,
we all have our down days, babe.
Yep, but it's how you bounce back up, which is the most important thing. So exactly. Thank you for your conversations, I'm going to, anything you'd like to say to the Facebook viewers?
Yeah, don't let this COVID worry you. You know, we are here. You know, like we say, go to the Mind Over Matter project web page or to the Facebook page or wherever you want to find us, however you want to find us, that's fine. We are here to support you, whatever your problems are.
And it's raining now.
It is absolutely
It is raining. You know what?
Heaving it down.
I can't stand the rain.
It's God's blessings.
It's spitting.
It's God's blessings.
God's blessing. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I feel sorry when it's raining and there's still people homeless sleeping on the street. And in the COVID days, I don't believe that there should be. And I think if the churches are not using it anymore, then make way for the homeless. There shouldn't be anyone on the street. This is the time we've got to pull together. I mean, I started with the homeless, helping the homeless. I was so passionate about hope and helping the homeless. And I realised at the end of the day that whenever I see somebody on the street, should I walk past? No, but I can actually see who wants help and who doesn't. Even though they're in the midst of the storm, some are just not willing to accept that there and then, and they have got accustomed to the habits that they're doing for whatever fix they need at the time. You know, and it's horrible when I've got women. If I've gone to London, right, I couldn't live there. And the reason why I couldn't live in London, because I know I would stop at every single homeless person. And some of these have got addictions. And when they've got an addiction, they're not in their right frame of mind when they're talking to you, you know? So I do feel bad for these people. And I'm just a helper. When I can't help, I get frustrated. But I can just do where I am to this day. And I'm helping in every small way I can. So are you guys in raising awareness. And on that note, I'm stopping the live stream. So if you heard us, anything you want to add to this, we're not accountable for the decisions that you make. We've discussed how we felt about things today, but we are not accountable for the decisions you make. We've not given you advice to do anything that you want. What you do, how you took this conversation is entirely up to you. We are just a panel of people that have a discussion, open discussion about how we feel about the world. Please or offend. Go ahead, Shel.
Sorry, can I just say one last thing? What side is top says, that's a message to Boris Johnson.